Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today on a lovely Saturday afternoon. A terrific card coming up. We have a fast main track, firm turf course, and you do see the all-weather Tapeta in play today, as well as Acacia Courtney and Brian Nadeau join you. The big news, Brian, around these parts is the Rainbow Six was a hit with one unique ticket yesterday. However, do note we will still have a mandatory payout today, and the pool is expected to be well upwards of $1 million.
Yeah, $250,000 gross guarantee in there, and I think being that it's still a mandatory day, they'll send it in quite aggressively. There we see over $1 million. And golf clap to whoever took it down yesterday. It certainly wasn't easy. I think we were all very, quite honestly, surprised that it did get hit with some of the winners that won in there, and it was certainly not easy, that is for sure. And you had to come up with 3 horses. 3 were kind of pretty easy, 3 were not, and it's certainly the one single in the finale took it down.
That's right. Kent Sweezy going gate to wire in the nightcap. And congratulations if you hit it yesterday, but we hope that you'll be back in action with us today. We'll talk about that sequence a little bit later on, which kicks off in race 6 on today's 11-race card. Now, we do have some jockey changes that will keep you updated throughout the day. Both Irad Ortiz and Tyler Gaffleone off both their mounts today. We hope to see them back riding soon, and we will keep you updated on that. However, we do get ready to kick off the day with the early pick 5 and a dirt sprint in this maiden claiming race, the opener.
Yeah, I've got an $18 ticket, and I think we can get out with 6, 7, 7, 6 in the opener. We'll talk about it shortly. 5, 6, 7 in race 2. Top pick Boru on the outside. The 7, 3, 7 in that order in the third. Comedic is an exciting kind of newcomer, at least here to South Florida for Simon Callahan. In race 4, 2, 7, 9 in that exact order. I'm going to try to get a little outside the box with the Brian Lynch firster down inside with the 2. And then in race 5, we've got the anchor, Dean's List at, I don't know, maybe a name the score. He's very exciting for Todd Pletcher, and he looked so good winning here on debut a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the race came back fast as well. A couple scratches in there, too. He should be a very short price. But to kick things off here, the number 7, currently Florida Plata, on that drop in class, is the one taking the most early money. Both you and I taking a slight stand against her, but on the drop, she certainly does make sense.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, she's been facing better. She adds Lasix as well. You look at her 4 lifetime races, and they're pretty much better than what anyone else has done in here. Now, maybe she doesn't have the upside of some of the others in here, and that's kind of probably what we both went with, horses with some upside, but I think clearly in the afternoon, what her body of work is right now better.
Meanwhile, the 6 Alarm Clock, not easy to claim off of Todd Pletcher, but this filly came back at what seemed to be the proper level last time out.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, right? I mean, they claimed her for 16. She ran for 12.5. She ran a very, very good second. Luis Saez is here. We had Lasix as well. She's only run 3 times. Zerpa got a win the other day. Does such a good job in these types of races. I would think she can still move forward in here.
And I took a bit of a horse that I think will be a price. A slight drop in class down to the 12.5 for Angelic Storm for Dan Pita. The barn has been picking up. She ran a respectable 3rd last time out. Junior Alvarado picking up the mount today. I just thought that she would offer a little bit more value in a race where I, to be honest, don't really trust anybody.
No, I agree. In the barn, you alluded to it. The barn has done very, very well at the championship meet. A very low, relatively low percentage barn. Has been in the exacta 6 of 22 times. We had Lasix here as well. 4 wins for the barn. So there's reason to like her, and you're going to get a much better price than Alarm Clock and certainly the 7 Florida Plata.
We go on to the Tapeta for race 2 today, about 5 furlongs and $10,000 claiming race for 4-year-olds and upward. We're in agreement here with the number 7, Boru. And do note that off the turf race last time out was on the Tapeta, cuts back in distance, and gets the drop today. Yeah,
and Luis Saez is going to ride here. One of the many jockey changes we'll try to keep you updated on today. We're outside, plenty of foundation going long. We sprinted 2 back on the turf at Aqueduct. It was a very good effort for Mike Maselli, who does such a good job in New York. Now Kelly Breen's had this horse for the 2nd start now, maybe get to know him a little bit better. I like this draw too, and I think just on top of a group where, you know, he's definitely in the mix here with some question marks to his inside.
And I don't mind the drop either. I mean, you look back in New York, 2 starts back was running for 12.5, so that was at the Meadowlands, I should say, but I just feel like this just kind of makes sense for him after that race last time out. And you mentioned the jockey change to Luis Saez. Chantel Sutherland will be on the 6 trilogy with Irad Ortiz off as well. The number 5 for you, Captain Ron, as we are happy to have our Captain Ron back today. This one rounds out your exacta.
Yeah, I mean, Carlos David off the claim and Paco's here, so that's a big deal. 29%, and they're about 31% together. The barn hasn't been winning a lot of races, so I will, take note of that. It's tough to improve off Rohan Crichton as well, but I think just you look at this horse, the big race on the Tapeta last time, a very fast race for the level. Coy's been so good, so I put him in the mix.
And I thought that the number 1 Marcelino could grab a share, as he's not a winning type, but he has shown a bit of an affinity for the Tapeta, being able to grab some pieces. The quality picks up big time here in race number 3 as we are on the Tapeta, about 5 furlongs in this maiden special weight for the 3-year-old fillies, newly turned 3-year-olds. And the number 3 Comedic, as you mentioned, a bit of a wild card as she's a fresh face coming in from California, was entered to run against the boys yesterday. They opt to go here instead, and we'll take a look at her race. This is 2 back in her last turf start. Will be her first time on Tapeta today, but a high price purchase by Practical Joke. They kind of went 1-2 around the racetrack this day at Del Mar, where she finished a good second.
Yeah, she's interesting that she's even here, right? I mean, the famed Michael Tabor Silks are here. I think a Thunder Gulch way back in the day. And she's probably going to bring a lot of California speed, too. I mean, that's why I picked her on top. There's some firsters in here that are eligible to run well, but we've got Christoph, we've got Tom Proctor, we've got Jonathan Thomas. I don't really think high speed from any of them.
No, that's true.
And that's why I think she's going. She only knows one way to go. And Ron and I have talked about this a lot. Julian Leparoux, he's thought of as a patient rider. You put him on the lead, he's as good as anybody doling out speed. I put her on top in here.
Very strong judge of pace for sure. And this one, who was actually purchased at the Fasig-Tipton Gulfstream sale here in March when she worked 10 flat to sell for $800,000. I did go to one of the first-time starters. I was really intrigued by the pedigree with Moofy, and it's an interesting work pattern, too. There's some gaps. She comes back training at Payson in December, went 50-2 at Payson on January 3rd, then came back 2 days later to go 36-1 from the gate. Maybe that's a negative. Maybe it's injecting a little bit more speed into her. There's a big pedigree for this George Strawbridge homebred. The second dam is forever together. Maybe it's a stepping stone, but I was really intrigued.
That's what I thought. Turf champion for the Master, Jonathan Shepard, and maybe 5 is a little sharp today. As good as Jonathan Thomas is, I think more he's a relatively patient trainer that gets progression. I certainly used her. I'm excited to see her run. I'm just thinking maybe today on January 8th going 5 furlongs, Comedic will be a little bit better.
The number 2, La Casa d'Oro, a homebred for Stuart Grant's Elkstone group. There's a nice pedigree on this one, too, largely dirt on the bottom side. So we'll see what this one does do first time out. The dam was beaten a nose in her only synthetic start.
Yeah, have to a $358,000 earner, and I think the works kind of whisper ready here. But again, Christophe Clement, another trainer who's a big percentage first out. But I just think Comedic's going to hear her feet rattle in here, and I wonder if the others is a very sharp 5 furlongs, maybe just left with a little too much to do today.
Paco Lopez picks up the mount on that one, while Leonel Reyes will ride the 5 Bally Baby. We go on to race 4, another nice maiden special weight. Once again, the quality continues. Looking forward to this one for sure. Race 4 today. This is 6 furlongs on the main track for the newly turned 3-year-olds. And we'll kick it off with the 7 Awesome Aaron, because we do have a recent workout to show you. This is courtesy of XBTV, which is a great resource, especially for all these maiden races you have today. You see him on the outside working in company for trainer Chad Brown. This one by Practical Joke, who was trained by Chad and who has been a terrific sire as of yet. And I thought it was a very respectable work. Chantel Sutherland picking up the mount for Chad Brown as well, with Irad Ortiz off today. And when you get a chance to see the way this horse finishes, that's what really intrigued me, this part of the work right here.
First full out of the dam, they paid $350, so they obviously, these Practical Jokes are selling too. They've been very well received at auction. The dam was 4 for 28, earned a shade under $200,000. Not a lot of pedigree going on, but obviously is a good mover, a good looker. I like this post as well. And I always think the horses Chad's going to run down here are ready to roll.
Yeah, this one for Bill Lawrence, also sold at the Fasig-Tipton Gulfstream sale, where he worked 10-1. A lovely mover, as you mentioned. The number 2 Master of Arms sold at the OBS June sale, and this one a first-time starter for Brian Lynch.
Yeah, I'm just maybe thinking a little outside the box. I'd like to see what the tote reads on this horse. I think a Classic Causeway at Saratoga, and Brian's not a guy that you're going to think, oh, Brian Lynch first out. He's a good enough 14%. He can get a good horse ready. The bullet on January 3rd really sticks out to me. I think this is a solid race, Acacia, but no one screams like they're crazy live in here to me or a monster. Maybe it's the right time to take a shot. I'll try to do it with Master of Arms.
Todd Pletcher has 2 in here, Ironworks and Caronade, as these 2 were actually working in company recently. The 9 Ironworks to me was much the best as far as those workouts do go. $550,000 incentive Distorted Humor.
It's not a lot of pedigree here. Second full out of the dam. The other horse didn't do a lot of running. The dam was 2 for 10, so another horse that on looks is probably a standout. Let's see what this one can do in the afternoon. A wide draw going 6. Maybe that's a little sharp. There's, you know, Indian Charlie on the bottom of this pedigree. Maybe we want a little bit longer. Maybe that's next time out. But I think this horse will be a factor for
Sappy
sure.
Joseph also with a first-time starter, particular Edwin Gonzalez picking up the mount on that one. As we go on to race 5, this is for the newly turned 3-year-olds. This is an allowance, though, 6 furlongs, and it's also known as the second start for Dean's List, as a little bit of a window dressing replay, Brian, but we'll take a look at his debut. Came back a really fast race with an 83 Beyer speed figure, and he was impressive. Yeah,
he really was. I mean, this is the day Emmanuel won in race 2, I believe, for Todd, and both of them look so good. You look at the splits there, and you look at them level out in the lane, and to me, you know, I know he's going right back at 6 today, so maybe they want to, you know, concentrate on one turn. I just thought it was a really strong effort. The word was out. He ran to it. Typically, those kind of horses for Todd do that. And A, Acacia, I think he's pretty good. B, this isn't the saltiest AOC we're going to run all meet. I think he's in a very good spot here.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously room for improvement, too. You saw him some greenness hanging on that left lead late, but he did it so easily. And Louis Size is the type of rider, too, that you'll see not getting horses' ways. If they don't want to switch, he'll kind of let them go, especially as they're going as easy. But talking about a couple of others, the number 7, Chasterie, Chantel Sutherland picking up the mount on this one as well, does have experience against winners.
Yeah, and, you know, initially I liked him because he's outside, and the 2 horses that scratched out were inside speed. Dean's List probably goes about his business now on the lead and says, you know, I'm too good for you. I think Chasterie in the 4 Dean Delivers with Junior Alvarado getting aboard, by the way. They have a hint of a rating gear. The problem is, you know, there's no one to go with Dean's List anymore, where I thought maybe Volbeat and Willie the Shoe go with him, kind of get fried because of it. They pick up the pieces. They still might pick up the pieces. I think they'll be a lot farther away from getting pieces, though.
Will be very fun to see Dean's List in his second start today. That'll do it for the first 5, though. We'll take a quick timeout, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Rainbow 6 sequence with the mandatory payout today.
The divine winged horse that flew with heroes mounted for glory. Arrogant, gun runner, city of light, mucho gusto, and Knicks go. Racing, the thunder and the lightning on the track, energy in the stands. Vibe, fashion, entertainment, all for one.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today with Brian and Acacia, and it's that time. Race 6 means the start of the 20-cent Rainbow 6, and yes, it was hit yesterday with the unique ticket, but we still have a mandatory payout today. It'll be a very good size pool, expected to be over $1 million. And Brian, we both have tickets. We took a stab at the sequence, a more in-depth run through it available on the Gulfstream Park YouTube page, but what do you got as far as the ticket is concerned?
I think we're going to show tickets that are pretty similar. 86.40. I have no opinion in race 6. It's a deep spread, 2-3 on top in that order. We'll talk about it in a second. 3 of them in race 7. I'd like to think we can get out of this race with the 2 Pletchers and Touch Code, the experienced Mott runner. 4-1 is the order, the 2 favorites. I wanted to take a stand, Acacia, to get more value and kind of beat the competition a little bit. I couldn't do it. 1, 8, 9, 7 is the order in the 9th. We both like Mish a little bit, I think, today. We're not sure about the price. race are both best bets, correct psychic ability in the 10th, and I think that's beneficial because other than that, it's a tough race. And then I go 7, 9, 2, the two proven horses, Gooch Go Bra, Charming Charlie. I'm interested in Globes, and I think you have a clever opinion in there too, right?
Yeah, a bit of a long shot play for me as we'll take a look at my ticket. Similar, same single as you mentioned. I went 76.80. I used 4 horses in each of the first 2 legs. The 2 makers, I thought that the Mark Casse runner, Maker of an Empire, in this first leg, intriguing. I went 4 horses, the 2 Pletchers, the firsters, Bill Mott's Touch Code. I also used Volcanic off the layoff, his last start in the Grade 1 Hopeful. 2 horses with the 2 favorites, Largent and Value Proposition, in the stake today. Mish, as you mentioned, but backing up with a couple, including Ampersand, cutting back in the 10th. There were some key scratches, so that makes Psychic Ability, I think, even more appealing as a potential single with We Miss Susie out. And I'll go 4 deep in the nightcap because my long shot play is the 6 Space Runner, who stretches out in distance. Second time on the turf. So getting back to the first leg of the sequence, it does kick off on the turf, 35,000 down to 25, non-winners of 2 in life, going a mile and a 16th. And we do have Mike Maker with a very strong hand in here with 2. You go to one, I go to the other. Rally Squirrel is first off the claim.
Yeah, I think there's races in this sequence where you can hope for some chaos, and there's others where you can be condensed. This is a race I think we're hoping for some chaos. Rally Squirrel's only run 3 times. Now, Tom Morley does a really, really good job, especially on the turf. Mike's going to claim this one. The pink and yellow go on for Mike Dubb. I always, he's such a sharp owner. He's so sharp with his claims, too. Only run 3 times. The barn is very cold.
Yep.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, but we're drawn well to the inside. You've got Tackle. I've got Rally Squirrel. I like both of them in here. Paco aboard maybe puts this one in the game. Maybe puts this one on the lead, too.
Yeah, that could really be a key. As my biggest concern with him is that he was just so disappointing last time out. It was the first time against winners, and he did break his maiden in New York bred company. So we'll see how he does coming back here, first time for the barn. But the other maker has his own fair share of questions to prove, and Tackle showed speed 2 back. When he's at this level, this non-winners of 2 condition, I think that's really where he suits best. Junior Alvarado will pick up the mount on Tackle. Maker of an Empire, to me, though, was kind of the most intriguing other one outside of the makers as he's second off the layoff.
Well, that's the thing. Second off for sure, and he's supposed to improve. My note was that he got a perfect setup and didn't punch on, so I'm a little worried about that, but the layoff could have been a reason why. You would think he's tighter and sharper today. Mark Casse, Luis Saez, Gary Barber, you could do a lot worse.
Out of that same race with a wide trip was Holy Emperor to the outside, Chantel Sutherland picking up the mount on that one. We go on to race 7, which kicks off the late pick 5 and another nice maiden special weight. A little bit more of a head scratcher for you in here. We have a couple of workouts to show too. Let's start with the 2 Charge It, one of 2 for Todd Pletchers. We'll take a look at both. This is the workout courtesy of XPTV, 2 back on December 27th. He was always going better than his company on the inside. The gray son of Tap It, big pedigree on the bottom as well for this Mandy Pope Whisper Hill homebred, and just galloped out really, really well. It seemed to me like debuting at the mile shouldn't be a problem.
No, and you think of Emmanuel, who debuted at a mile, and he was absolutely awesome. And the bullets here, you can see a couple of them. Luis Saez is here. Plenty of works as well, and the pedigree's huge here. The dam was just 1 for 5, but have to take charge. Indy won our Florida Derby. Have to a 3-year-old champion will take charge. Every reason to think Charge It is a serious runner.
The other Todd Pletcher, meanwhile, is Calipari, and you'd have to think with the name. He's meant to be a good one, as this one, we're still waiting on a rider with Irad Ortiz off Calipari today, but we have an XBTV workout as well. This is a couple back because the most recent one, unfortunately, was a very foggy morning and was tough to see, but did want to have an opportunity to show him working in company, and he's on the inside here as far as the clock report. His most recent work was certainly very strong too as he comes in for this debut.
Yeah, I mean, I would think with this post, you mentioned it, and we don't know. I don't know anything about this horse, but with that being said, I don't think they would have named a horse that couldn't run after, I assume John Calipari. So there's reason to think that's a big positive. I like this post as well. Irad was going to be here. As you mentioned, we're still trying to figure out a jockey. 4th full out of the dam. The other 3 weren't much. She did earn a little bit under $500,000. So I would think this horse fires today.
The one with experience that seems to be the main player is the little brother to West Coast in Touch Code, who is second behind Emmanuel, who we've mentioned many times with that talent. You'd think that he should build off of that race, but he does need to improve versus what he showed first time out.
Yeah, he does, because look at the 3 Touch Code. Look at next door, Logico for Antonio Sano. They kind of both ran the same type of race. That was Emmanuel. Emmanuel fried everybody that was close. They picked up the pieces. I would think Touch Code moves forward in a big way today. The typical Bill Mott kind of progression. You mentioned he's half to West Coast, who was so good. Lasix goes on today as well. So if the 2 Pletchers aren't ready, I think he's clearly the horse to beat.
Nice opportunity in the late pick 5 to see how the board is playing too with that maiden special weight. We go into graded stakes action in the 8th. We're on the turf going a mile in the grade 3 tropical turf, a race that was a stalwart over at Calder back in the day too. And you have a nice matchup with the 2 favorites. I know we both use these in the sequence. I did give the slight nod to Largent, and we'll take a look at his last race, which was nearly a year ago in the Pegasus World Cup turf, where he was only beaten a neck behind his stablemate, Colonel Liam. We haven't seen him since then, though.
No, and so that's an issue, obviously. And what are you getting today? Because regardless of where he's going next, maybe the Pegasus turf in 3 weeks is a little tight for him. That's not necessarily Todd's game to bring him back that quick. Regardless, I'm sure the connections hope this horse is going places this year, grade 1 kind of places. So how tight are the screws today? I think we have a trainer stat on Todd to maybe alleviate a little bit of those concerns. He's really, really solid. Here it is here, turf routes at Gulfstream the past 3 years off this elongated layoff. 6 for 17. Somehow you're getting a 302 ROI on, you know, one of the greatest trainers ever. So I would think he fires. To me, the worry was twofold. I mentioned the layoff and maybe bigger fish to fry. I also think value proposition might be a little more tactical, and I think that's going to help him a little today too. I picked him. Listen, if you have a strong opinion in this race and you don't have to Dutch these 2 horses, you get a huge leg up on the rest of the betting public, because a lot of people, I did it, I couldn't separate them. I'm just using them both. If you can somehow single one, it gives you so much more maneuverability in the rest of these races.
Yeah, we do see Luis Saez staying with the number 1 Largent, and with the rider change on the 4 value proposition with Irad Ortiz off Paco Lopez, will pick up the mountain. The nice thing about that is that Paco actually piloted him to victory in the Red Bank. If you're wondering what happened in the lure when he raced for purse money only, he actually threw a shoe at the gate, and the option at that point was to scratch or to run for purse money only. So they ended up running in that way, where he was beaten by Flavius. But he stretches back out today after, I would say it was a disappointing effort last time out going shorter.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, Arrest Me Red, I picked him in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. He scratched, you know, that day. So he's a nice horse for Wesley Ward, and maybe 6 was a little short. I admittedly have reservations if he's a true 2-turn horse, but a 2-turn mile here at Gulfstream, I think can help him along, as opposed to maybe a more demanding 2-turn mile. So I did put him on top, and I like the fact that he should be getting first run off Largent too.
And you would think, as we both have him in 4th, the 5 Flying Scotsman, likely the main pace setter in here. The question is, how far can he take it?
Yeah, he's got good races, and Jack Sisterson does a good job. He's run a couple 4s in the dinner party at Pimlico, and that Kilrow is not that bad at all. I mean, you look at the horses he was behind, beating only 5 lengths that day. He's all right, and he's second off the long layoff. You just easily draw a line through the dirt. Return. Jack needed a race for him, I'm sure. Jack's a good horseman, and this horse can run. So, if nothing else, I think he'll be in front for maybe longer than people might think.
Yeah, we'll see. As he should be that main speed, you'd think value proposition likely sitting just behind him. That'll be a fun one in the tropical turf. We still have a couple of races to go, though. Race number 9 today, 6 furlongs on the main in a salty Florida-bred allowance optional claiming here. We both go to the inside, and the 1 Mish, he's a wild card, though, because he was plain and simple, he was bad last time out off that private purchase. Junior Alvarado picks up the mount.
Yeah, you won't find a better Florida-bred optional claimer all winter. This is a good group here. What more can I add? He didn't run an inch. Private purchase. They bring him up to Churchill, and they take a shot in a starter allowance, and it just didn't work out. You know, he was facing winners that day. He's got to travel. I get all that. Well, now he's really back with friends today because he's never run against Florida bred. So he's probably going to have to work out a trip down there, but I think he gets the benefit of a lot of outside speed. Junior can let that speed go. He's still going to have to try to get out, but he won't be, forced to, I don't think at least, forced to be on the lead inside. There's plenty of speed to his outside. If he can get out, there's no excuses today, Acacia.
Yeah, some of that speed, as you mentioned, likely would come from Raise the Rent, who's off the claim. I know we have a trainer stat, and what version of this horse do we get today?
Well, I think you said it perfectly. We'll take a look at that stat for Kelly Breen because it's a pretty good one. He's 9 for 32, 28%, 213 ROI, first off the claim. Sprints on dirt the past 2 years. I mean, this is a very, very solid trainer. He doesn't claim a lot, so that means when he does make a claim, you really should take notice. Maybe some Jekyll and Hyde going on here. I know he was fractious at the gate, 2 back, but you and I talked about this when we did the preview yesterday. Just the fact he was in for 35 last time. I don't, maybe they were playing some poker and said, no, nobody's going to claim this one, and we'll run off the screen and be right back. Well, that didn't work out. So maybe Kelly made a really good claim. He's just a horse that was a little tough to trust.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's eligible for a starter. He comes right back here in this very tough Florida bred race. There's some other competitive ones, twice too many with some big recent races, and you wonder, can he keep that good momentum going?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's got big numbers for Rohan Crichton. He's going the right way. He's well drawn here with Paco to be outside the majority of the speed. I mean, if buyers are your thing, 86 and 94, he ran a 2 on the thoroughgraphs last time. That would lap this field.
Yeah.
Point being, I don't know if we can keep going forward off those races.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. I had some interest in Ampersand cutting back. Luca Panici going to be aboard that one. Race 10 today, an allowance optional claiming for the fillies and mares, 6 furlongs on the main track. This was our single today. Yeah. Psychic Ability, I think probably one of the main contenders in We Miss Susie is out. Junior Alvarado picks up the mount. Psychic Ability goes out first time for Saffie Joseph Jr. Yeah,
there were 6 horses coming out of the We Miss Susie race. Now there's 4, and as Acacia mentioned, she's gone. And I wasn't a fan of that race. So it, not only am I a fan of Psychic Ability, then looking and saying, I don't really like that race. I think she's in a good spot for Saffie, first-time Saffie, and no disrespect to Greg Sacco, but we know, Saffie has a penchant of really doing a good job with these kind of horses. 24% first time in his barn, 21% off this elongated layoff. And her best races, I think, are just better than this field. Now in with Saffie, I think you're going to get a really good race today.
And as you mentioned, We Miss Susie is out. Wild America was the other one I had highlighted in this race, but there are still plenty, including My Destiny, some other horses coming out of this race. The 4 Wild America was the one that I really wanted to highlight out of it, though, because you can see she was setting the pace, and she's really getting tired at this point. And she was able to hold on for second. I think her early speed should be a big weapon in this spot. The question is, what does Sprout Wings do off the layoff, and how does that pace play out even with Psychic Ability coming back?
Paco on the outside with World Gone Wild, too. And if you watch that race, I mean, they all held well in that race. And I thought I was going outside the box with Playera, who's now out, but also number 8, Bargainaire, who is in. They were against the flow of that race. I think today it's more to their liking, and that's why I look for a price underneath with Bargainaire. There is a lot of speed in here, and Wild America is going to have to do it the hard way again, I think.
We wrap up the card on the turf, going a mile maiden optional claiming. Florida breds do not have to be in for that claiming tag. The others in for $50,000. This is for newly turned 3-year-olds. And I have my long shot playing here. Space Runner stretching out in distance. I really liked this one. Getting to the turf last time, just thought that he kind of needed that race. Took a lot of money, too. And off of a good layoff for Gilberto Zerpa, Junior Alvarado, going to give him another shot at a bit of a price in the last race.
Yeah, and he's going to, if not be on the lead right there off the stretch out, what you see him, fast splits, obviously, in those sprints. Lasix goes on here as well. I think we both agree, Acacia, that Gooch Go Bra and Charming Charlie are the horses to beat. I think we also probably both agree they don't have to win.
No, they still have some things to prove. They will take some money. Gooch Go Bra, the number 7 in here. Of course, we'll need a rider change for you there. Blinkers going on. I'd imagine that's to add a little bit more focus here. Julian Leperoux picks up the mount down on Charming Charlie. Maybe that'll be kind of the Julian pace tactic once again.
Well, Gucci Bras, second on debut and okay enough fourth in the with anticipation. Now here he is for 50. That's what worries me a little bit. Blinkers and LASIK. So there's a lot of things going on here, and I agree. Charming Charlie, the post is a little problematic too.
And quickly, I know you have some interest in Globes, the number 2.
Yeah, he's going to be around your horse, Space Runner, and maybe if Paco's aggressive, maybe he gets to the lead. LASIK's first time gelding comes in off a pretty solid effort on the Tapeta. We know how good Peter D is. He's a freak on the Tapeta. 3 for 3. The runner-up came back to win, too. He's coming out of the right races.
That is the 11 race card. It's a good one, as you can see. Plenty of nice allowance races and maiden races, too. But we are not quite done on Gulfstream today. We have the lightning round coming up for you and some nice news, as always. Brian, take it away.
Yeah, well, we've got the mandatory payout today. It's maybe not what we were hoping, but it's still going to be a big pool, $250 gross guaranteed. And I would think we're going to comfortably get over $1 million. That mandatory word resonates, and it's a tough sequence. It's a good sequence for the bettors, so I'm looking forward to it, and I do expect a big one in there.
Kicks off in race 6 today. Again, we look forward to that sequence, and what do you know? I'm in the hot seat once again this afternoon. Beat the Expert is back, so hopefully not only do you hit the Rainbow Six, but maybe you can get a Gulfstream Park polo shirt in the meantime.
You're in a tough spot on a tough card. I mean, we just went through it all, and you know, there's races we like, and then there's others where the dart might have to land on the board here, so I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and we are just a few weeks away from the Pegasus World Cup.
Yeah, life is good work this morning. We do believe at Palmettos, and it's just each day that passes. Here he is winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile on an absolute laugher. I mean, it was so awesome. And as we just can't wait, something's got to give on the 29th with Life is Good and Knicks Go doing battle probably early, probably often. And it's really, really exciting. 7 stakes that day as well.
Yeah, that's just like the clash of the Titans, and really, really excited to see how that will pan out. And we hope that you'll join us for that Pegasus World Cup as well on January 29th.
Tickets are on sale, and you know, as I mentioned, there you can see it there, PegasusWorldCup.com. 7 graded stakes, including the World Cup turf. We think Colonel Liam will be back to defend his title, and now the new race too, Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf.
That'll be a terrific day of racing from start to finish. Of course, a marquee day throughout this Gulfstream Park Championship meet, but today a great day as well. A little teaser of what is still to come. Best of luck if you're playing the Rainbow or any race this afternoon as we send it up to track announcer Pete Aiello for scratches and changes.
Pegasus, the divine winged horse that flew with heroes mounted for glory. Here begins our story of legendary times, the rarefied air when the stakes are high. Like the moment when you feel the vibe, the thunder and the lightning on the track, the energy in the stands, like music moving through your soul, shaking your hips, making you dance. The stars come out in the Magic City. For Pegasus they stay, dressed in designers' newest finds, wishing all days could be like this. A moment in the sun, where everything is divine. Racing, vibe, fashion, entertainment. Arrogant, gun runner, city of light, mucho gusto, and Knicks Go. Pharrell Williams at the finish line. Lenny Kravitz rocks the runway. Snoop Dogg making it rain. A Jennifer Lopez family affair. Vin Diesel found out that cars aren't the only thing that are fast and furious. This runway on the rail. Post Malone on the mic. Mark Ronson on the ones and twos. Alec Monopoly paints the game. Aloe Black brings the community together.